Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sedona International Film Festival. I'm your host, Carol Kahn. We are coming to you live from Yavapai College. Yavapai College is one of our sponsors, along with Northern Arizona Healthcare, the Kling Family Foundation, BMO Bank, Goldenstein Gallery, and the City of Sedona. We'd also like to thank our hoteliers, restaurateurs, and all of our volunteers who have participated in this year's festival. We are truly grateful for your participation. And so joining me now are the filmmakers from the film Karen Carpenter, Starving for Perfection. I would like to introduce to you Andy, John, and Randy from the film. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, and so last night was actually the filming of the screening of the film, and also Q&A and audience participation, and it was really amazing.
Yeah.
And John, why are you laughing?
No, it was the perfect festival experience. It's one of
Yes.
the reasons I suggested this film for Sedona, because I know this audience would love the film. I knew Patrick would love the film anyway, but I wanted them to have a big festival experience, and last night was it.
Well, I'm going to say there was definitely a moment that was completely unexpected, and that was when an audience member decided that they wanted to play Close to You, and mic'd it up to his phone, and then the whole audience sang, and with our phones, everybody is like,
Wave your phones with
Yeah.
the lights on them.
and you filmed that.
I did. I'm sure we'll be able to use it sometime in the future.
Awesome.
I've been to many festivals and never seen that level of audience participation. So
Yeah.
it's very exciting.
It is. We have great audiences. I love our audiences.
Yeah.
They're always like high level, asking amazing questions
Yeah.
and doing things like that. I didn't even expect that.
Well, Patrick is a very good host. He asks the right questions. He works the audience, which is really important. And, that's sort of how it works. And it was amazing people last night. This one woman, when she was watching, she found some outfit that her mom had created that Karen was wearing.
Her mom was the designer. Yeah.
What?
And she
Get
saw it
out.
in one of the photographs. So we're going to get in touch so that she can get a photo of Karen in the outfit.
Oh my goodness.
Another guy came up to us, and he was bachelor number 3 when Karen was on the dating game in 1970. It was a promotional thing for the Carpenters when they were just taking off. Close to You had barely even been released, and he was bachelor number 3 on that TV show.
Oh, that is great.
You never know who you're going to meet at these
Right.
things.
I know. And then someone threw out a little tidbit that I guess her ex-husband is here or something. I know,
Well,
crazy,
he
right?
lives here. I don't think it was in the audience. But
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, he's a Sedona resident, I believe.
Yeah. So, Randy, tell me, I know this has been like almost a lifelong project for you almost, following Karen's history and documenting everything. What has it been like for you?
I think the most exciting part of it has been to meet these fans all around the world, these other people who get it and love the music and have really rallied behind me in all of these different projects that I've done. And it started back in 1989 with the TV movie about Karen and me seeing that and becoming interested and starting to research, and that grew into the book that came out in 2010, and the book grew into this documentary that we've been working on for nearly 4 years.
And I asked you last night this question, but I didn't really. I know we have short time on a red carpet, but Frankie Chavez was part of the in the audience and also the discussion. I've also talked to Frankie and love him. And Frankie was he's a drummer and also taught Karen in high school how to play the drums. And one of the things that Frankie had said to me while we were doing our interview, he talked about you specifically with the book and also with the documentary. And he said when you came up to him to talk to him, he said to you, "I will talk to you only if you get the facts right."
I had several people that I encountered, when I was working on the book, that said, "What's the story you're going to tell?" Because before I tell you my story, I want to make sure that it's not going to be the same story that's been told over and over, and authorized by the family and kind of. Before now, Karen's story was more of a press release of who the Carpenters were to the world versus who Karen was as an individual and as an artist. And I think that we've been able to, especially with the documentary now, to tap into who she was, what made her tick, and why she was so special.
So, and actually bringing out the real truth.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, in doing that, though, I mean, because even as a journalist and writing that story, or an author writing that story, there's going to be the crossroads, right? Do I tell the story? Is the family going to be mad at me? What am I like? And you have this conflict going on, and making sure that it is your responsibility to tell the story accurately. So, did you have any like setbacks or anything that kind of
I absolutely had that conflict that you're talking about, because I started all this as a fan, and people don't want to necessarily read, the general public doesn't want to just read a gushing fan appreciation kind of book. They want to know that it's the real story and that there's some grit to it. And there was a point in my research, I can almost pinpoint when it was, that I kind of took off my fan hat and said, if I'm going to do this right, I've got to stop trying to, get Richard Carpenter's participation or his blessing or whatever, because I knew that the story that was emerging from other people was not going to mesh with that. And speaking with Barry Morrow, a man who wrote the screenplay for the TV movie of the Karen Carpenter story, he told me about going to the Carpenter's house and meeting their mother for the first time. And he walked up to the porch, rang the doorbell. Their housekeeper answered the door, and Agnes, the mother, pushed her aside to say, "I want you to know I did not kill my daughter." And that was the introduction that he got to her for this entire research that he was doing. And I knew when he told me that, if I'm going to put that in my book, this is turning a corner. Like, I'm not just going to be a gushing fan writing a love letter to Karen. It's going to have to get deep. And that was kind of the point that I was like, okay, we're going to do this.
Yeah, and I think what's fascinating is just like you said, you have fans coming up to you, telling you that they've met her, their participation, the clothes that they're wearing, whatever it is, right? And so your book is already out. It's been out since 2010. The film is out now and or being distributed. And, so in that amount of time and what has transpired from that time, what things can you tell us that maybe you found out even afterwards that were enlightening to you?
I think the level of understanding from a lot of people now versus even 13, 14, 15 years ago when I was putting the book together, I think that people reading my book gave a bit of intuition, and people have been able to expand upon their understanding of Karen's story because of that. And having conversations with Cynthia Gibb, who was the actress who portrayed her in that TV movie, and getting to understand that she delved into a lot of the problems that Karen had and saw the family firsthand. And it's like all the people who worked on that particular movie had this understanding of the real story, but they couldn't quite deliver it in the way that, because they had the parents right there in the next room. And so that was definitely interesting. And just to see the level of appreciation for Karen in the entertainment world, other musicians, and we have them in our documentary with Belinda Carlisle. Who would have ever known Belinda Carlisle from the Go-Go's used to sing Close to You in her hairbrush. And so those kinds of things have been nice little bits of icing on the cake, since the book came out, and getting to meet those people and to find out what made them love Karen so much back then, and how they make that a part of their music today.
Mm-hmm. And Andy, your participation, how did you get involved with all of this?
Well, I am a little younger than Randy, and older, older than Randy and John. So I actually lived during that age. The Carpenters I loved them when I was in high school, and my friends were hard rockers and did not probably participate in the love for the Carpenters. And so I really have that, I have that story. And I've always appreciated what they've done to counter what the other music was of my generation. So I had followed the Carpenters as much as I could. I read Randy's book, didn't realize he lived in the same area I did until several years later. And then I contacted him, and my company makes documentaries, sometimes for networks and sometimes just independently. And I said, as I've done before, well, Randy, we should tell this story. And I think what we were able to do is get all these pieces of information that are out there, which it could be an interview, it could be some old film, it could be some pictures, could be some other information that, and then put all those together in a true story. So someone in 90 minutes, 100 minutes then, can really understand Karen and who she was. And because we found so much audio of Karen that really hadn't ever been heard before, she's really telling her own story in many ways. And it's not just us coming up with what version we think the story is, it's really Karen and her friends telling the story. I think Olivia Newton-John, who I think a lot of people didn't even realize was probably that close to Karen, they were very close. She told us things that I'm sure she's never said before. And this is about a year and a half before she died.
Yeah, I just got goosebumps. But I think that was really amazing to watch the film and to realize like how many people were really close and were able to tell that story. Yeah. And really, you know, it's interesting looking at Karen Carpenter in the films, and it, you know, it looked like she was really searching or wanting something, wanting someone to love or to feel that. And so there was definitely a sadness, you know, and I definitely felt that in watching the film.
Yeah, and I think connecting all those dots together, why was she sad? And then we had people, her friends, but then also people that were a younger generation. And then Cherry Boone O'Neill, who, again, people probably don't know that well of a younger generation. You know, she lived through that herself and was part of a family group, so to speak, and she was so open and so honest. And she talked to Karen on the phone. She's probably one of the few people that understood Karen's health issues at that time. And then she wrote a book, and she wrote a book actually before that. So she was extremely open and honest with, and again, probably had never told that story before.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and Karen had not really reached out to anyone else either. Karen didn't admit that she had this problem. She would blame it on other things and, you know, overwork and things like that. But Cherry was one of the first people that she called, and she felt, you know, the trust there that she could tell her that, yes, I have anorexia and I want to get help.
Right. So Randy, so you did a book, that's part 1. You did the film, part 2. Is there a part 3?
Feature movie.
Hopefully a feature movie. The book has actually been optioned for quite a while and has, you know, taken off, and then it'll kind of go dormant for a little while, as those things do, but maybe at some point, hopefully.
Yeah. Yes. All right. And then John, your role is distribution, is to make sure that everybody gets
get it out
to
there
see
in the
it.
world. Yeah.
Yep. All right. I'm counting on you for that.
So are we.
Yeah.
That's right. We all are.
Make it happen.
Because why make a documentary unless people are going to see it?
That's right. Well, speaking of seeing it, we have a clip, so let's take a look at the clip.
Karen's voice is one of those voices that just goes right to your soul.
It's arguably the most beautiful voice that anybody will ever hear.
And that voice, that voice.
Perfection is just about impossible, but that's always in my mind, you know.
There was a very loving, happy part to her, and then there was a kind of a darkness there.
There's no way to be able to handle that kind of success. There was something about her that she didn't like about herself.
I had no idea that I could do a blasted thing.
She definitely battled her self-image.
She never had a successful romantic relationship.
Love is something that I think everybody in this world has to have, and without it, you're not worth anything.
She was a very sensitive human being, and she was incredibly injured.
No one really knew a lot about anorexia back then. It wasn't something that was really talked about.
When I got sick, it scared the hell out of me, man. I was like, whoa, down to the old 89 pounds there.
My God, Karen, what did you do to yourself?
You don't really know when you step over that line.
How were you born with that kind of talent, that extraordinary genius talent, and then sabotage yourself?
Maybe she never wanted fame.
Perfection is a battle you'll never win.
You can have fame and the most beautiful voice in the world and still feel a hell inside.
I don't think Karen Carpenter's true story has really been told.
You can't stop. The only way you can stop is die.
We've only just begun to live.
That gets that gets you right in your heart every time. It's amazing. I just want to thank you for bringing that. And I promise, Randy, he has an amazing voice. He's a music teacher, but I'm not going to make him sing.
It's early.
And Andy cringes every time I say that. I'm like, please don't. But you have a great voice, so I'm going to say that. So thank you all for being
thank
with
you,
us.
Carol.
I really appreciate it. And thank you for finding Frankie, too. That was
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
highlight.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we want to say hi to Frankie Chavez, and thank you for teaching Karen to play the drums. So, and to find out, is the film going to be shown again? I know last
Yeah,
night.
the website is KarenCarpenterDoc.com. So it'll have all the upcoming festivals, and as we roll it out into theaters or whatever. There's also an Instagram site, Karen Carpenter Doc, people can go to, which is updated almost daily.
Okay, awesome. And speaking of that, in Instagram and social media, make sure that you hashtag.
Yes.
It's hashtag SIFF23
Absolutely.
and hashtag Sedona Film Fest 23. And watch us live on Facebook, as we are constantly on there and updating it as well. And we'll be back with more from the Sedona International Film Festival after this.